How to Better English 2024 workshop on vocal training for better public speaking and sustainable English language development, organized by the International Affairs Division and the English Language Teaching Program, Department of Education, the Faculty of Education, เกษตรศาสตร์ University, and Thailand Extensive Reading Association. The workshop's aim is to enhance English language communication skills with a focus on improving clarity and communication in public speaking. Participants will learn various techniques for vocal control, articulation, and effective speaking strategies, followed by a way to sustainably develop our English language.
Okay, I think we're good. All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this morning. I know it's early, but happy that you are all able to come out. Thank you also to Dr. Semchuchot and I Kasetsart University for having me as well. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Andrew Nowlin, and I am a Canadian from the East Coast of Canada, and I currently work in Japan at Kansei Gakuen University just outside of Osaka, Japan. I've been there about 15 years now, so Japan is my current home, and it has been for over a decade. So today I am here to share with you guys, or to conduct a workshop on vocal training. Vocal training, especially for presentations, for public speaking. But the skills that we practice and learn today are also good for just casual speaking on a daily basis, regardless of what language you're speaking. Of course, the session today is in English, but whether you're speaking Thai or any other language during presentations or face-to-face casual communication, the skills that we practice today will be helpful, I think. So let's get to it here. And the contents. So first of all, I'll talk about what you need for today's session. It is quite active, so I do need your guys' active participation here. And I want to share with you guys my public speaking journey. The reason I want to share that is because I feel like many of you might be in a similar situation as I was when I was a university-age student. So that's why I think it's helpful to share that experience with you. Also, I want to talk about the issue of nervousness. I know a lot of us, before a presentation, how do we feel? We feel nervous, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that before we get into the 6 ways to improve our speaking abilities. And then final recommendations, and then I have some references as well. So the session today will be about 2.5 hours, 2 to 2.5 hours. So what do you guys need for this session? I believe our MC already talked about this, but firstly, I need your attention. So when I'm giving instruction, just be sure to listen carefully. You guys do need a mobile phone because I'll be asking you guys to record yourself using an application like voice memos. This application, This application is common on iPhones, Androids, so you can use voice memos or any other application to record your own voice. Also, if you have earphones, you'll be listening to yourself speak at a couple different points today. If you have earphones, great. If not, no problem. You can still listen to yourself on your mobile device. And then finally, participation. I do need you guys to participate today. I'll be asking you guys to do several activities in groups of 4 to 6. So just your neighbors, those around you. I will be asking you guys to get into small teams of 4 to 6 people, okay? All right, so firstly, I want you guys to imagine this situation here. You are tasked to speak in front of a large group of people. You're up on the stage, all eyes on you. How do you feel? Nervous. And when we feel nervous, what happens? Bum, 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 bum. We feel like our heart's going to explode out of our chest, right? Our heart starts racing. We might feel cold. We might feel hot. Regardless, we get sweaty. Our hands get sweaty. Our brow might get sweaty. We feel like we're losing our breath. Because our heart is racing so much. So the question here is, why? why do we feel this way? And the short, easy answer to this is that public speaking and speaking in front of others, it's a very, very common fear. It's a fear. We talked about nervousness, but nervousness is also adjacent to fear. We're scared. We have fear, and fear is essentially an energy. So we're in the year 2024 now, correct? 2024? If we think hundreds, even thousands of years ago, as humans, we needed these conditions of fear, the increased heart rate, the adrenaline. We needed this for daily survival. We needed this for survival in situations of war, in situations with wild animals. So we need the conditions of fear in order to better succeed in these situations, to better either overcome these problems, right? So fear was really important for humans and for humans to exist historically. Now, in the year 2024, are any of you planning to kill me here today? I hope not, right? I hope not. But as humans, we still have these conditions and feelings of fear, even in social situations, uncomfortable situations where all eyes are on you. It's the very similar sense that we had hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, when we struggled to fight for daily survival. So when you feel fear, it's we're conditioned. Humans are conditioned to feel this historically. So that's the reason why we have these feelings when we're in front of a big group. Okay, so these conditions of fear usually manifest in a fight or flight response. We've heard this before, fight or flight. When we're feeling nervous, we have a choice. We can fight. We get pumped up full of adrenaline, and we can, historically, we can attack. We can fight. And we can challenge upfront whatever is the problem that is facing us. Now, the other option is to flee. We get scared, we get fearful, we have all the same conditions, the adrenaline, the shakiness, the sweat, but we run away, right? So these are the two options that we have when we are fearful, to fight or to flight. So in talking about my public speaking journey, I've experienced both of these situations. So let's talk about my flight phase. Up until I was a teenager, 10, 11, 12, I was quite outgoing. I was doing some theater, I was doing sports, and it never bothered me that other people were watching me. However, from around 15 years old, I started experiencing this paralyzing anxiety when faced with this kind of situation, speaking in front of a large group of people. So for me, it started at around 15 years old. Now, have any of you experienced this kind of anxiety or fear in public speaking situations? Maybe it started for you earlier, maybe slightly later. For me, it was around 15 years old. And because of that, I couldn't speak in front of an audience. So that lasted for about 5 years. And during this 5-year period, from 15 to 20, I simply avoided all public speaking situations. So I didn't take classes that required public speaking. If I was expected to do a presentation, I would call in sick that day. So basically, I fled the situation. So I ejected myself from this situation. So I avoided public speaking situations for about 5 years. However, when I became a university student, I changed my mindset, and I decided to fight. I decided to fight these feelings of nervousness, anxiety, and so on. So from around 20 years old, I started easy. So in my classes, I started like putting up my hand more and asking questions to the professor, asking questions to the teacher. So starting small. And during that time, my heart is racing and I'm feeling very nervous, but I prepared a question and I simply asked it. And that was the baby step that got the ball rolling for other things, for other activities. For example, making small talk to neighbors, to other people who happened to be around me, people I didn't know. Also, I started taking some classes with presentation components. And when having to make those presentations, it was a nightmare. My voice was shaky, I was sweaty, my heart was racing. But I fought through it. I fought through it, and then as I fought through it, it got easier and easier and easier. There's no magic bullet. It just takes practice, practice, practice. So I started teaching after I graduated. And of course, you're in front of an audience when you're teaching. I started making academic presentations, such as this one, in front of an audience. And I joined a public speaking group called Toastmasters. It's a global organization where you're expected to speak publicly in every single meeting. And now I'm talking to you good people this morning. So, and this is 25 years after I decided to start fighting instead of running away from these kinds of public speaking situations. So that has been my journey. Maybe this resonates with some of you, or aspects of it resonate. It's very, very common. Let's talk about nervousness. Nervousness, arguably, according to a lot of studies, the #1 fear in the world, the most anxiety-inducing experience that people report is the fear of standing in front of an audience and making a presentation. So several studies I'll refer to here. One says 64% of people express fear in public speaking. And disabling fear, this is the paralyzing fear that I was experiencing in my later teenage years at 33%. Also, university students, studies done amongst university students such as yourselves, it was cited as the single most significant fear amongst university students, even more so than death. So university students more scared of speaking publicly than dying, which is quite traumatic. And fear almost always starts in adolescence. So for me, it started when I was 15. It's very common in those teenage years that at some point you start to become a little bit more self-conscious, and this is where that fear of public speaking really kicks in. How do you overcome fear? As I said, practice, 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 but also joining a workshop like this, or taking a course in public speaking, has been shown to significantly decrease this kind of disabling fear. So you get the option to do that. It's a great idea to enroll. Okay, so before getting into the workshop, I want to address a few very common worries that students have before they're tasked with speaking or talking in front of a group of people. One common worry, I can't think of anything to talk about. Maybe I'm not interesting. This is a very common concern. And just remember, ask yourself, what are your interests? What is your family history, your family situation? What might feel as very ordinary and mundane to you could actually be fascinating for somebody else. So you all have a story to tell. You all have information to share that is not the experience of others, and that others would be interested in listening to. Also, other speakers in the class are better than me. Whether it's related to English aptitude or just comfort with public speaking, this is a common fear, that we're not good enough, others are better than us. To reconcile this, you just need to remember that with public speaking, everybody starts in the same place. Whether you're 12, 20, 30, everybody starts in the same place in terms of their nervous feelings when they start public speaking. Everybody feels nervous when they get started on this journey. So just keep in mind, your feelings of nervousness, fear, anxiety, you're not alone. Everybody shares these as well, even if it appears that others are better or more advanced in their speaking abilities. Some people don't like to be criticized. They don't like to be told, well, this part of your speaking's not good, this aspect isn't so good. But don't consider it as criticism. Think of it as constructive development, an opportunity to improve yourself, and how other people just want to help you improve. So just reframing that idea. Next is I'm so nervous, there's something wrong with me. As I've said a couple times already here, it's the most common fear in the world according to a lot of studies. So you're definitely not alone. There's definitely nothing wrong with you if you do experience these kinds of problems. Okay, let's try. Check. Okay, maybe we'll just keep trying this one. Okay, and then the final point here is that when we're in front of an audience and we're feeling nervous, it's a vicious circle. We often tell ourselves, oh, I must look so nervous as well. But just keep in mind that you never look as nervous as you feel. Your audience members cannot see or feel your heart racing. They cannot sense that your hands are sweaty. So there's the mantra, fake it until you make it. Even if you're feeling nervous, usually those nervous feelings dissipate or go away after about 60 seconds. So that is, the research shows that when you're in front of the audience making a speech, that first 60 seconds is when we feel the most nervous, and then we get a lot more comfortable after that 60 seconds. So usually it is short-lived, those nervous feelings. Okay, so something to keep in mind. One of the impacts of fear, we often call them butterflies in the stomach, right? We have butterflies in the stomach before we have a big performance or presentation. So with those butterflies, it's natural to have them. The secret is to get them to fly in formation. Nervousness is an energy. It's all about rechanneling that energy and using it to your advantage. That energy can make you sharper. It can make you quicker. It can help you recall things easier. So just reframe those feelings of nervousness. Get the butterflies to fly in formation. Okay, so let's practice one quick strategy to overcome these feelings of nervousness that we might have. So put yourself in that situation. You're about to make a big presentation in front of a big group of people. Let's practice breathing. Has anyone heard of 4-2-4 breathing before? I'll talk about it in just one moment, but before we get into the breathing here, it's very important to have the right posture. If we're kind of seated down and our posture is all hunched over, it's very difficult to expand our lungs with enough air to speak with a powerful, commanding voice. So posture is important here. So with posture, back straight, shoulders back, chest out, and then we're able to fully expand our lungs with air, the air that we need to deliver an impactful message. So with the 4-2-4 breathing, I have a GIF here, and it's not super smooth because of the maybe the connection, but you'll get the gist here. 4-2-4 breathing is breathing in through the nose for 4 seconds. And then holding it for 2 seconds. Holding it for 2 seconds, and then exhale for 4 seconds. And then repeating that a few times. Breathing in through the nose for 4 seconds. Holding it for a couple seconds, and then exhaling. So a very quick little strategy that we can use before any intense, high-pressure situation to help calm our nerves a little bit, to help slow down the heart rate. Okay, next, we're going to get into the 6 common problems, and this is where the workshop will start and your activities will begin. So the first problem is speaking in too low of a voice, not projecting your voice, right? So trying to project your voice a little bit more, speaking with a bit louder of a voice than you might be used to. The next one is when we get nervous, our heart is racing, there is a tendency to talk too quickly. We have this idea that the faster we talk, the faster we'll finish our presentation and be out of this dangerous situation, right? So we need to chill a little bit. Again, deep breathing, take your time with your presentation delivery. The third one is filler sounds, the filler sounds. Next, speaking in a flat voice and never changing the tone, pacing the tone, never changing that tends to be a problem if maybe you have some courses where the professor is very flat speaking. What happens in those cases? We get a lot of sleepers, right? So again, that's a problem 4. Number 5 is making statements that sound like questions. You're stating a fact, but you're ending the sentence with a rising tone. We'll talk later about why that's a problem. And then nonverbal communication issues. So we'll focus mostly on the eye contact during your presentations, but nonverbal communication also involves things like gesture, posture, and so on. Okay, so let's get to the first problem here, speaking in a low or soft voice. Why is it a problem? Well, most obviously, it can make you difficult to hear. If you're up at the podium here and you're talking in a very low voice, it's going to be hard for the people in the back to hear you, right? Also, you may lose the attention of your audience, and it can make you seem unconfident. Okay, so these are all the reasons why it can be a problem. Okay, so this is where I want you guys to get into some small teams. We'll say a minimum of 3, like 3 to 6. So just those of you who are in the same, like seated in the same little area, find a team of 3 to 6 people, okay? 3 to 6 people. And what I'll be asking you guys to do, actually, let's do the teams first, okay? So guys, take half a minute, 30 seconds, just make your team, okay? And if there's any, if we could get maybe some assistance, if anybody doesn't have a team, then we can help find you a team, okay? So yeah, kind of situate yourselves so at least 3 of you are in one group. Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, so here we go. We have our teams here. Let's get started. So the first thing I want you guys all to do, just a little posture check, okay? Even if you're seated, I know it's early, you're all very relaxed, but do try to straighten up your back a little bit, shoulders back, chest out. Be ready to do a few breathing activities here. 3 deep breaths. Remember the 4-2-4 breathing that we just practiced. So 4 seconds in, holding it, 2 seconds, a slow exhale. The slow exhale is really important because when we get nervous, we tend to hyperventilate like that. So do make sure that it's 4 seconds, 2 seconds, 4 seconds, okay? Hopefully we're feeling a little bit more relaxed now. Now, what I would like you all to do is to just say a simple sentence. It can be towards the front of the stage or to your teammates here. And when you're speaking, now, at least with my students in Japan, a lot of my students, they're reading a script, so their voice is facing the floor. Even worse, a lot of them will turn around like this and do their whole presentation facing the screen. So we want to avoid that as well, right? When we project our voice, we want to slightly aim the sound of our voice just over the heads of the audience. Not down, not to the back, but towards our audience, but slightly above their heads, just so the sound can fall down on the audience here. And what I would like you all to do in your small teams here is to take turns saying the following in a projected voice, but you're not shouting, projected, okay? So if you feel that you're a speaker who has a small, quiet voice, you might need to step outside of your comfort zone here and just amplify, project your voice just a touch more, okay? So this is what I would like you guys to say. Very simple here. I can say this without shouting and still be heard. Very simple. We're starting easy here. So I want each of you in your teams, take your turn. Remember, take a deep breath. And then I can say this without shouting and still be heard. Okay, we're starting easy here. So I'll give you and your teammates half a minute or a minute. Just take turns projecting this. And it's probably better if you face your teammates while you're doing this, okay? And remember, with the projection, aim your voice just over the heads of your audience. We clear? Okay, guys, go for it. All right, everyone, that sounded great. Good, easy way to start here. But we're going to level up on this next task here. So task 2. In this second task, you guys will be doing this individually. And you need your voice memos, you need your mobile phone, and I would like you guys to record yourself for this next activity, okay? So everybody get your mobile phone. If you want to give yourself a little bit of space, because everybody's going to be speaking at the same time here. So if you want to give yourself a little space, that's okay too, okay? So here's what's going to happen. By yourself with your mobile phone, this is what we're doing. So firstly, find your voice memos app. Voice memos or any equivalent app that will allow you to record your voice, okay? And what I'm going to have you guys all do here is to use a well-projected voice to talk for 90 seconds. 90 seconds, a minute and a half, okay? Non-stop. So you're practicing your fluency, but I want you to focus on the quality of your voice as well, okay? So taking deep breaths, well-projected voice for 90 seconds, and you're going to talk about yourself. A short self-introduction speech that no one else is going to hear, you're recording it for yourself here, okay? Talking about yourself, you can describe your hometown, you can describe your hobbies, you can describe your job or your part-time job, your future dreams, anything related to you, okay? So you're going to talk about yourself for 90 seconds here. Very important, critical here, you're going to have to listen to yourself after. And I know it's really painful for us to listen to our own voice. Many of us don't like it, but that's how we make improvements. Because how we hear ourselves is very different to how others hear us. So recording our voice and listening to ourselves, it's a very important step in making improvements to the quality of our voice. So don't forget to record yourself for 90 seconds. And we're all going to do this at the same time, okay? So I need everybody, get your voice memos ready. Everyone's good? And like I said, if you want to give yourself a little more space, that's perfectly fine. Like there's empty seats in the back over this way. If you want to give yourself a little bit more space, that's perfectly fine. And when you're speaking, you might want to put your microphone right up to your mouth because there's going to be, what, 40 or 50 of you doing this at the same time, right? Okay, so is everyone ready? Okay, I'm going to be keeping time for 90 seconds, okay? Let me just get my timer ready. Oops. Yes, try to speak in English. If you need to do a little code switching, if you need to use Thai or another language to fill in the gaps, the key here is fluency. So yeah, use English as much as possible until you can't. If you want to fill in some words with your local native language, that's perfectly fine as well, okay? So 90 seconds, you're just talking about yourself, okay? And remember, focusing on your voice quality, projecting your voice, okay? Remember your posture, remember your breathing. Is everyone ready? Okay, so 90 seconds. We'll get started in 3, 2, 1. Start recording. Go. Okay, that's the time. Okay, so stop your recording. Make sure it's saved. Do not erase it because we will be using that in just a moment for another task here. Okay, so we're going to segue into the second common problem, the second most common, one of the 6 most common mistakes when we make presentations, and that is speaking too fast. Now, at least for my students, I might give them a speaking task where I ask them to speak for 5 to 6 minutes. And they might practice at home. And when they practice at home, they're at 5 minutes. But when they come in front of the audience, they start speaking really fast because they're really, really nervous. And then they finish their presentation in 3 minutes instead of 5. And then they have 2 minutes left because they spoke way too fast. They prepared for 5 minutes, but they finished in 3 or 3.5. So fast speech is a very common mistake that we make, and it's all due to these feelings of nervousness and fear with public speaking. So why is it a problem? Well, firstly, you speak too fast. It makes you difficult to understand. And also, because it is a fear response, it can make you look nervous when you are speaking too fast. We might feel that speaking fast, we sound fluent, but there's no point if your audience can't catch all of your words, right? So slow down a little bit. That is the key here. And also, unconsciously, if many audience members might feel that what you're saying is just not important. If you, as the speaker, are rushing through your content, then your audience might get the message that it's simply not worth listening to, or it doesn't need to be listened to because you're not considering it as important. So why should your audience consider it as important? And also, when we talk too fast, we're not breathing. So it can cause us to run out of breath, contributing to those feelings of fear and nervousness that I talked about before. You listen to some of the best public speakers out there, you will notice that they do often speak in a calm, cool, commanding voice, okay? So here's what we're going to do next here. You're going to get back with your teams of 3 to 6 people. And what I want you guys to do first is to actually get practice talking too quickly. And the reason for this is that I want you to get that feeling of nervousness where we're talking too fast to the point where we're running out of breath. Because that always happened to me in my teenage years. Like I'd get up, I'd start talking, I'd forget to breathe, and then I kind of start hyperventilating and I simply wouldn't be able to get any words out. So I want you guys to get that feeling, to be aware of that feeling of when we are talking too fast. So what I want you and your teammates to do here is to say the following sentence. It's kind of an absurd long run-on sentence. Of course, it's not grammatically correct, but it's just created for the purposes of this workshop. So each of you in your teams, you're going to try saying this very long run-on sentence with only one breath, without taking any breaths in the middle. So you're going to practice taking a deep breath in. I will no longer speak too quickly and cram all my words together in one breath because I have lots of thoughts in my head and I'm trying to get them all out, and I'm afraid that if I pause, people will stop listening. Now, I've said that several times, so I have practice. For you guys, I assume it's the very first time you're saying this ridiculous long run-on sentence, but again, I want you to get that practice, to get that feeling of that simulates a real-world speaking situation where you might start speaking too fast and you might start running out of breath. So let's try this first. I want you guys to get this sensation of running out of breath while speaking. So in your teams, same teams, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, go around in a circle, and I want each of you to do this. So deep breath in, projected, I will no longer speak too quickly, and try to say it all in one breath, okay? We'll practice again later while taking breaks and breaths, but for now I want you to try and say this just with one breath, okay? We got it? Okay, so in your teams, go around in a circle. I'll give you guys a few minutes to do that. Good luck. Okay, it looks like we are winding down here. Now, with your teammates, like, as I said, of course, this is a ridiculous long run-on sentence that is not grammatically correct, but what I would like you and your teammates to do next is to look at this ridiculous sentence and ask yourselves, if we're saying this, if we're articulating this in a real speaking situation, where would be some natural places to take a short breath? So you and your teammates, I want you to have that discussion now. With this sentence, after which words would it be suitable to take a short break, a short breath, and then continue? So there's different answers to this. It could be 2 breaths. It could be 5 or 6 different places. I'm interested in what you guys think about this. So same sentence, but where would it be natural to take a short break, a short pause to catch our breath and then to keep going, okay? So you and your teammates have that discussion. After which words here should we take a short pause and a short breath, okay? All right, go ahead, take a couple minutes, then I'll ask you guys for your ideas. All right, let's hear some of your ideas here. Someone from this side of the room. If you are going to say this in a real public speaking situation, after which word would you take your first break, your first breath? Anyone? Quickly. So I will no longer speak too quickly. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Like, it's our first independent clause there, right? So it does make sense that we would take a quick break after quickly. I will no longer speak too quickly. And yes, exactly. So we have the transition there. So even after and, we could take another quick break there as well. And guys, because this is a very ridiculous non-grammatical sentence, there's no real right or wrong answers here. How about over here? After and. Breath, I heard. Okay, so after breath. And then after breath? Head. Yeah, head. Also, we could even have one after because, before and after because. Cause and effect, right? So we could pause for more dramatical effect in that cause and effect sentence there. Head after head. Get them all out, okay? After out. I am afraid. You could, that if I pause, comma, people will stop listening. So several different, in several different places here, we could take that natural pause to allow us to take a breath and to get caught up with our breath so we're not having those sensations of panic. So this is just one option. You guys might have different options here. I will no longer speak too quickly and cram all my words together in one breath because I have lots of thoughts in my head, and I am trying to get them all out. And I am afraid that if I pause, people will stop listening. Okay, so I'll give you guys one more chance to tackle this run-on sentence with your teammates. But this time, remember, deep breath, projected, and control your pacing. Take your time with it. Take your time with it, okay? So same thing in your teammates. You can go around in a circle. You can stand or sit. It's up to you guys, but I'll give you guys one more chance to say this run-on sentence with suitable, appropriate pauses, okay? Control your pacing here. All right, good luck. We'll say maybe 4 or 5 minutes. Hopefully you can all do it in that amount of time. All right, I think we're good here. Let's move on to our second task related to fast speech here. Now for this activity, this is where I need you guys to use your earphones, okay? If you have them. If you don't have them, it's no problem. You can still hear yourself. But unless you want your neighbors hearing your recording, it's probably best to have your earphones, okay? So by yourself, this is an activity you will do individually by yourself. Take your mobile phone, take the voice memos, and I would like you to listen to your 90-second presentation, your speech that you did on describing yourself. You guys remember 15 minutes ago, you guys recorded yourselves for 90 seconds, right? You talked about yourself. You talked about your hobbies, your interests, your hometown, and so on. We're going to use that recording for this task here, okay? So you're going to listen to yourself. And while you're listening, you might need to like listen, pause, because I want you to count the number of words that you utter. Count the number of words that you say in 1 minute. Now, you guys recorded for 90 seconds. I want you to take a 60-second sample. Maybe you started your recording late or you finished your recording early. But try to get 60 seconds where you're talking your most fluently. Okay? So try to find 60 seconds of your 90-second speech, and I want you to count the number of words. You might need a pencil or pen if you want to make a memo of that. But I want you to record how many words you say in 1 minute of speaking. Okay? So take a couple minutes. Again, you can listen, pause, and then you can make a memo. But I want you to have a word count. How many words did you say in 1 minute? I'll give you guys a few minutes to do that. When you're done, you can share those results with your teammates. Everyone clear? Okay. After you get the word count, that's the number of words that you say in that 1 minute part of your speech, then you can share that number with your teammates, okay? So you should all have a number of the number of words that you said in 1 minute. You can share that number with each other. And guys, there's no like good or bad, right or wrong numbers of words here, okay? So just whatever you had, share that with your teammates for 1 minute. Go ahead. Okay, does everyone have their number? Okay, we shared those with our teammates. Okay, so keep that number in mind for just a moment here. Now, unfortunately, there's not a lot of good research out there, at least research that I have found, that examines like average number of words spoken by a speaker of English as a second language. However, there is data for native speakers of English. So by the native speaking standards, now you could imagine what this number could be in your native language as well, but by native speaking standards, a fast speaker is considered as someone who speaks or utters more than 150 words per minute, while a slower speaker would be less than 100 words per minute. Or are you right in the middle there? So again, this is for native speakers. So it would make sense if speaking a second language, your word count would be lower than this, and I think that's completely expected and reasonable. While you listen to yourself, of course, I wanted you guys to count your words, but I also want you to start thinking while you're listening to yourself make these short speeches. Ask yourself how your voice is different from how you imagine it when you hear yourself speak. Also, try to start identifying things about your voice, aspects of your voice that you do want to improve. So while you're listening to yourself making these short speeches, try to think about these questions. Now, going back to the word count, the words per minute spoken. Here are some common speaking rates based on research. You guys know TED Talks, right? Now, the average pacing in TED Talks would be 173 words per minute, and this is quite fast. It's one of the fastest ones that I was able to find. For those who do podcasting, for those on the radio, and again, these are native speakers of English. The word count tends to be 150 to 160. Conversational, so this is people in casual social situations, speaking 120 to 150 words. Presentations could even be a little bit slower as speakers are aiming for clarity and pacing and trying to control the pacing of their voice. So the presentation word could be a little bit lower. And for L2 presentations, this is just my speculation, but I would imagine speaking or doing a presentation in a second language, a target rate of about 80 to 120 would be reasonable. So asking yourself where you fit on that spectrum, and if you're less than 80 still, that's no problem whatsoever. Generally speaking, it's better to be a little bit too slow than to be too fast. Okay, so task number 3, there's another recording task. I need you guys with your voice memos to record yourself here, okay? This is going to be our speech number 2 for today that you're going to make. So a new 90-second speech that you'll be making here. And during this speech, I want you to focus on a couple things that we've practiced so far. I want you to practice your projection, so posture, breathing, projection. And I also want you to focus on your pacing as well. Articulate your words clearly. Take short pauses between the different independent clauses, sentences, and so on. And your topic for this is going to be talking about your family and your friends. Speech 1 was on yourself. Speech 2 is going to be family and friends. You can focus on 1 or 2 family and friends. You can focus on more. The point of these topics is just to give you something that you can speak fluently on for 90 seconds, okay? And of course, I need you guys to record, okay? So everyone has their voice memos ready to go? This is speech number 2. We're talking about our family and friends. You can introduce 1 or 2 or however many you like. Give details on them, who they are, what they do, what they're like, why do you like or maybe dislike them sometimes. It's up to you, okay? Everyone's good? Okay, so let me just get my timer here. I'll tell you guys when to start, and we'll go for 90 seconds, just like the last time, okay? 1 second. Okay, so 90 seconds. You guys are on your speech number 2. Let's start in 3, 2, 1, begin. Okay, guys, that is it. That is it. So hold on to that speech. We'll be using it in just one moment here. We're going to transition now into the third common problem when making presentations, and that is the filler sounds, the sounds we all make. I'm sure I've made 100 over the last hour and a bit here. So everyone makes them. If you make them, don't worry about it. The most important thing to do is to build our awareness of the kinds of filler sounds that we make and the frequency of the filler sounds that we make. So why are these filler sounds a problem? Some people call them brain farts. Brain farts or filler sounds. They're considered the enemy of confidence. If someone is very confident in a statement that they're making a filler sound can compromise the effectiveness or the impact of that statement. And they might make you seem uncertain, unconfident or uncertain about what you're trying to say. And they may distract your audience. Your audience might just start focusing on the filler sounds instead of your message. So yeah, they can undermine the impact of your message there. So focusing on complete sentence is the goal here. And pauses, just like I made there, are perfectly acceptable. They're far more preferred in public speaking situations. Do you guys remember the long run-on sentence? I'm afraid that if I pause, people will stop listening. You guys remember that from the long run-on sentence? That's exactly why we make these filler sounds. We worry that if people are listening to us and we need to think or we need to try and recollect a word or something that if we pause, we worry people will stop listening to us, right? So instead we go, just to signal that we're still thinking, we're still talking. But when you're making a presentation like this, you have a captive audience. Your audience doesn't have a choice but to listen to you. So if you're trying to remember a word or recall something you want to say, simply pausing for 2 or 3 seconds. When all eyes are on you, 2 or 3 seconds can seem like a long time. It can seem like an eternity. But in reality, it's just 2 or 3 seconds. Pausing over filler sounds is the way to go here. Okay, so guys, here is the next listening task. Again, if you want to use your earphones for this, you can. I want you guys to listen to that speech you guys just made on your friends and family. Now, I didn't tell you you were going to be focusing on this for that second speech, but this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to listen to 60 to 90 seconds of your speech. And what I want you guys to do, you might want to have a pencil or pen to make a memo. Listen to that speech, and I want you to focus on your filler sounds. I want you to make a note of 2 things here. The first thing I want you guys to note is the type of filler sound you're making. Did you say, like U-H-H-H-H-H? If that's the first one you say, then write that and put 1. If you say, again, mark 2. If you catch yourself saying an U-M-M-M, write it down, 1. Okay, so do that for all of your filler sounds. And it's not just or it could even be words like. Some people say like. So, some people will say so or so when it's not really necessary. So that could be considered as a filler sound. Okay, so in the next few minutes here, I want you guys to listen to yourself, listen to your speech number 2, and mark those 2 things. A, the type of filler sounds that you're using, and then B, the frequency of those filler sounds. We got it? Okay, so I'll give you guys, and again, you might want to play, pause to allow you, to give you a chance to make your notes. So I'll give you guys 5, 6, 7 minutes to listen to yourself and to record that. Sound good? Okay. So guys, the first time that I had someone record my pausers, I was doing a speech of about 4 minutes. And after that speech, I didn't think I made any filler sounds, but the person who was counting my filler sounds counted 27. So I thought 0, the reality was 27. Now, the lesson here is that everyone makes pausers. Everyone makes these filler sounds. Even the best public speakers make filler sounds. You hear the most experienced speakers say all the time. It's very, very natural. And I don't want you guys to get the impression that the goal here is to get rid of your use of pausers. That is not the goal, because everybody makes them. So what I would like you to do, though, is just to gain a little bit more awareness of the filler sounds that you make, and then just gradually try to decrease the use of them, especially in public speaking situations. So when you do build that awareness and you're speaking in front of people, you might be tempted to make the sound when you're trying to recall a word, but instead of that, just try to embrace the pause, the silence for 2 seconds. Because again, you have the captive audience, and when we do make that pause, then it does draw the attention of the audience. The audience will look up and they'll see they'll be interested in what you're going to say next. So again, with filler sounds, the goal is not to stop using them, because that's not realistic. It is to become more aware of how you use filler sounds and then to gradually decrease the use of them. Does that make sense? Okay, good. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Now, with the next one here, it's the monotone, flat voice, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. So speaking in a single tone without any tone variation. Why is this a problem? It's easy for the audience to lose focus. We might have a classroom where half the students are falling asleep. Luckily, I don't see too many sleepers in this group yet, but I still have about another half an hour, so hopefully we'll be good. The audience might get sleepy if you talk in a flat tone. And it also may seem like you're not really interested in what you're saying. If you're not speaking with any passion, with any interest in your topic, it might seem like what you're saying is not interesting to you. And then the audience may come to the conclusion that what you're saying is not important. If you're not speaking with passion, if you're not interested in your topic, why should they be interested? So for this task here, this is a task we're not actually going to do in this workshop. This is going to be your homework, okay? So to improve a condition of having a monotone voice, find a TV host, a movie star, a comedian, or someone with a voice who you like. You should like the voice, but it can also be a voice that might be similar to your voice in certain aspects. Like maybe someone speaks with a similar pitch or pacing or delivery as you. So your speaking role model here that you're going to find should share some of the qualities of your speaking voice, okay? So when you find that person who's speaking English, and it can be a non-native speaker of English, that might be better as a speaking role model, listen to him or her speak and pay attention to the details that make their voice compelling in your mind. And then try repeating what they say, using similar tone, words, style. Maintain your own voice, but then make some slight adjustments based on your speaking role model. Okay? Oops, let me just go back there. So this is going to be homework, okay? Because I think it wouldn't really work in this environment here for you guys to find your speaking role model right now. Sometimes it requires watching speeches by 5 or 6 different people to find that speaking role model who you want to emulate a little bit more. So that's the homework. Let's move on now to number 5. These are statements that sound like questions. Why is it a problem? It may seem like you're not believing in yourself. The audience may not be persuaded to believe you. It's repetitive for your audience. It's difficult to distinguish between a question and fact. You'll notice with all those statements, I ended those statements with a rising tone. And it sounds like a question. When we ask a question, we end with a rising tone. And it makes it seem like we're inquiring instead of trying to deliver factual information. So this is another common mistake that we often hear. So why is it a problem? It may seem like you're not believing in yourself. Falling tone, conclusive statement. The audience may not be persuaded to believe you. It's repetitive for your audience. And it's difficult to distinguish between a question and a fact. It's a falling tone instead of the rising tone. Okay, so here is the next task here. And for this, I won't be asking you guys to record, but I want you guys to start making some little short speeches to your teammates here. So the task, what is something you hate? It could be a type of food, it could be a certain animal, it could be a day of the week, it could be a person if you wanted it to be, but it's just something you dislike, something that makes your blood boil. What is something you hate? And I want you to share that with your teammates. So get together with your teammates and share something, one thing that you really dislike, okay? With your teammates, I'll give you guys 2 or 3 minutes to do that. Go ahead. Okay, hopefully you've all been able to share something that you really dislike. So in this speaking task where I want you guys to try and speak confidently and conclusively, even if you don't necessarily believe every word you're saying, you're going to tell your teammates, oops, sorry, that was the wrong one. You're going to tell your teammates why the thing you dislike is wonderful, why it's great. So we need to look at this thing we don't like with some rose-colored glasses, and we need to be able to confidently share with our teammates why we love this thing, the same thing you dislike, okay? So you're going to, you can think about your reasons for a couple minutes here if you want. But I do want you to take turns making short speeches of why you love or really like this thing that you actually dislike. You guys know what I hate. We have them in Japan. I know they're in Thailand as well. I hate cockroaches. Cockroaches are nasty. I mean, in Japan, we get the big, gnarly ones too. So, I mean, that's going to be the task here. For me, it would have to be talking about cockroaches and why I love cockroaches. And how cockroaches, they're like little tiny sports cars. They're black and brown and shiny. And how they make great pets. Cockroaches make great pets. Did you guys know that? It's because they don't die easily. They don't die easily. They can lose their head and they can still survive for 2 weeks. At that point, they die because of dehydration. Cockroaches in the house are also great because they'll eat all the things on the floor that no one else will eat. They'll eat your hair, your toenail clippings, so they make great pets that way. So those are a couple of reasons why I love cockroaches. Okay? You guys are going to do something similar now, so I'll give you guys a couple minutes. This is not an easy task. Taking that thing you dislike and thinking of some arguments why you actually love that thing and being able to talk about it confidently with your tone of voice without making statements that sound like questions. We got it? So I'll give you guys 2 or 3 minutes to prepare. Just think about some of your reasons. And then after 2 or 3 minutes, we'll go around in a circle and you and your teammates will share your short speeches on why you love that thing you hate. Clear? All good? Okay, good luck. If you have not started already, you guys can start making your short speeches, go around in a circle, make sure everybody does it, and you're going to explain why you love that thing you dislike, okay? You guys can start those short speeches now. Good luck. All right, everyone, shall we? Shall we continue? Did you have a nice break? Get some sugar and some caffeine? I hear ya. That helps everything, doesn't it? All right, well, we're in the home stretch, so just about 30 more minutes to go. We have one more common mistake or common skill to work on to improve our public speaking delivery. And then you guys have your final assignment, which I'll talk about in just a moment. So let's talk nonverbal communication. Now, nonverbal communication, there's a lot of different types of nonverbal communication. We can talk gestures, right? Gestures with the hands. It can be eye contact. It can be posture, right? So these are all different kinds of nonverbal communication. What can be the problem with a speaker's nonverbal communication? Well, first of all, someone can be a little too stiff, a little too rigid, just kind of standing straight, never moving their body, not looking relaxed. It can make that speaker look nervous and maybe a little overly serious. Also, if there's a speaker who's nervous, sometimes a speaker will just start flapping their hands like a bird and just start moving their hands where those gestures have zero connection to the actual words or the message being articulated. So that can be a problem. And also some touching of the head, of the neck, scratching the ear. Do you guys remember the discussion we had at the very beginning of this session, talking about fear and human evolution? How thousands of years ago we had to be fearful for survival in cases of war or wild animals attacking us. And you can imagine if you're about to be physically attacked, what do you protect? Protect your head, your neck, right? So this is a remnant from human history where when we're in fearful situations today, like public speaking, again, no one's going to try and kill us, but we still try to protect our vital parts of our body, our head, our neck, and so on. So when someone who touches their head, neck, face, and so on, this is a sign of stress and fear. So that's something to avoid if possible. Now, for the discussion on nonverbals, let's focus on the issue of eye contact, because as a speaker, eye contact is really important. If someone's just head down reading a script, then you're going to lose the focus of your audience very quickly. So making that eye contact is really important. And there are cultural rules about eye contact, especially in face-to-face communication. Generally speaking, in the West, in North America, strong eye contact is expected. There's an idea that if someone doesn't look you in the eye, you cannot trust them. But living in Japan now, a lot of people will avert their eye contact or will not make strong direct eye contact because it's considered as impolite or overly aggressive. So while we're talking about eye contact, do keep in mind that there are cultural rules about the extent and degree to which we make eye contact with people. And I wanted to talk about one study on eye contact that was done in the 1960s by Dean and Argyle. And what they did, they went to New York City and they got two people, they got several hundred pairs of people who did not know each other. And they had those two people talk to each other. And what the researchers did, they were focusing on the eye contact. And what did they notice? They found that two people who enjoyed each other's company, who appreciated the conversation, who actually liked the interlocutor, the person who they were talking to. In those situations, do you think people made more eye contact or less eye contact? More eye contact. So people who liked the other person made more eye contact than someone, than if they were talking to someone who they didn't really have anything in common with or didn't really enjoy, or who maybe they were uncomfortable with that person. They made less eye contact, right? So based on this study, they came up with some rules for eye contact. For if you want a good relationship, good rapport with somebody during face-to-face communication, if you're listening to someone speak to you face-to-face, one-on-one, what % of the time should the listener be looking at the speaker's eyes? What % of the time? Should it be 100? 100 might still be a little bit too intense, right? A little too intense, could be a little creepy. So what % do you have in mind? 75, 80? Okay, yeah, 60 to 80 I'm hearing. What about as the speaker? So if you're talking to someone one-on-one, should you be looking at the listener in the eyes 100% of the time? Again, maybe a little bit too intense. Usually that's representative of love or hate. It's too extreme, too intense. But as the speaker, what % of the time should we be looking at the listener's eyes? 80, 75, so about the same? Okay. Based on this research, they determined that as the listener should be focusing about 90% of the time. Because you can imagine if you're talking to somebody, and if that person kind of their eyes start wandering, looking around, how do you feel as the speaker? you might feel bad, right? You might feel that they're not interested in what you're saying. Maybe they're looking for someone else better to talk to, right? Like you might feel bad. So 90% of the time is what they determine based on this research. Now, as speaker, they say 70% of the time, because it's fairly natural. Like if you're in lexical search, you're thinking of a word to say, it's quite natural as speaker for your eyes to kind of roam around a little bit. You're still making that contact with your words. So it is more natural and more accepted for the eyes to be averted while speaking, more so than listening. So for how much mutual eye contact in an interaction, about 60 to 70% of the time, based on this study in the 1960s that many people still cite today, including me. Okay, so what are some strategies that we can apply if we're making a presentation, if we're making a speech, or if we're just having chit-chat, social communication with somebody? I would suggest to ease into eye contact. Not everybody is comfortable making direct eye contact with an audience, so easing into the eye contact. In one-to-one situations or as a group, if you're not totally comfortable making eye contact with your audience, you can focus on someone's forehead. Now, one-to-one, if you're really close, maybe the speaker will realize you're looking at their foreheads. But in with a bigger audience like this, if I look at someone's forehead, it's still going to look like or appear that I'm looking at them in the eyes, right? So if you're not comfortable making that direct eye contact, you can try the forehead or even the top of the glasses. That's if you're uncomfortable making direct eye contact. That's one strategy. And another recommendation is one thought, one look. Okay, so you are talking about a particular topic, you finish a sentence or you finish one thought, and then you move on to the next person in the audience. So that one thought could be a few seconds, 5 seconds, possibly up to 7 or 8. Now, it might make some audience members uncomfortable if the eye contact is really intense for more than 8, 9, 10 seconds. So one thought, one look, one phrase or one sentence, one look is a general guideline that you could follow. Now, if you have a really big audience like this, it is very difficult to make eye contact with each individual audience member. So what you could do with a big room or auditorium like this is to split up the room into quadrants. So that would mean 4 sections. Now, if we imagine that every seat is taken here, I might have one quadrant, left front, then a second quadrant, left back, a third quadrant, right back, and then the fourth quadrant, right front. 4 quadrants. And then I could just focus, just loose, like I could have a gentle focus on the quadrant, like not even looking at anyone in particular, just looking at the first quadrant and then averting my gaze to the second quadrant for a thought or for 5 to 10 seconds or even a bit longer, and then moving on to the third quadrant for a few sentences and then focusing on the fourth. And then focusing on the quadrants instead of the individuals. That could be another strategy that you could apply to your public speaking situations. And also trying to avoid moving without purpose. Now with gestures, this would be the tendency to just like flap the arms, or sometimes like it is encouraged to change your positioning from time to time, but some people will start to pace. They'll start to go back and forth like this nonstop. And then that can be quite distracting, right? If someone's just pacing back and forth. It's also a sign of stress and nervousness, pacing. But changing the positioning from one side of the screen to the other, that's very encouraged. But avoiding movements without meaning or purpose. And guys, this is a tough one. But throwing away the script. Throwing away the script. With the script, when you start reading from a piece of paper, you lose the best qualities of your voice. Voices tend to get very flat and monotone. Most of my students sound like robots when they're reading a script. And also, because they're no longer face the audience, they're not projecting their voices above the audience anymore. Instead, their mouth is face down like this. And it's much more difficult for the audience to hear, right? So stay focused on the audience, throw away the script, having some notes to keep you on, to keep you on target of what you want to say, like some key words. Of course, that's encouraged. But reading the script should definitely be discouraged. And a lot of people will use that script as a crutch. They'll use it just because of lack of confidence. But guys, if you take public speaking classes, just give it a try. Have faith in yourself. Just give it a go, even if you're not confident. Throw away the script. You can use your PowerPoint as guidance for what you want to say, but try getting rid of that script. And also watching yourself through video. Now, you guys have been listening to yourself a lot, and that's great for identifying aspects of your voice that you like and dislike. But when it comes to nonverbal communication, it's all visual, right? So we need to see ourselves speaking. So try to provide an opportunity for yourself to have yourself recorded while speaking. Watch yourself speak by video. Okay, I'm actually going to skip this one. And guys, I have one final task for you. In this final task, we're going to put it all together here. So you're going to make a final speech to your teammates. Now this speech, like 1 to 2 minutes, okay? A 1 to 2 minute talk with your teammates, and we're going to combine everything. So as the speaker, I will want you guys to stand up for this. So as the speaker, you'll stand up, you can make a little circle with your teammates, but you'll try to speak with a projected voice. Remember, targeting your voice just above the heads of your audience. You'll try to control the speed of your voice. Yeah, you'll be a little bit nervous. Take your time though. Take some deep breaths. Control your pacing. Be aware of your filler words, okay? Your filler sounds. Your goal is not to get rid of the filler sounds. You're welcome to make them, but try to be aware of when you're about to make a filler sound, and perhaps just embrace the pause. Pause instead of making a filler sound. Employ some tone variation. Show your passion in this short speech, okay? Avoid the monotone voice. Also, make confident statements. What you're saying is factual, based on your experiences. So avoid making statements that sound like questions, that sound really tentative. Make strong, conclusive statements. And then this could be a tough one here. In your team, try to make eye contact with everyone in your team. I can give you guys a couple minutes to prepare this, but I don't want you reading what you wrote, okay? So I do want you to make sure that you're focusing on your audience members. Make sure that you look at everyone in your team at least one time. So what your final discussion here is going to be before lunch. It is going to be lunchtime. I imagine you guys are hungry. So I thought food would be a good topic for our final project here. You're talking about food, favorite food, why you like it, where you eat it, who do you eat it with, why you like it, are there any kinds of food you don't like? You're going to try and speak for 1 to 2 minutes, okay? Now, I can give you guys a minute or two, maybe just to make a few notes to keep you, to keep you on schedule, on target with what you want to say. But I'm not going to give you much time to prepare, okay? Then after that, you guys will take turns making your short speech. And I do not have a slide for this, but when you make your short speech, I want someone in your team to count the pausers, to count the filler sounds, because you might not be aware that you're making these filler sounds, okay? So I do want someone in your team to count the filler sounds, and I also want someone in your team to be the timer, okay? So at 1 minute, the timer will hold up 1. At 2 minutes, your timer will hold up 2. I do want you all to speak for 1 to 2 minutes, okay? And then after you're done, I want you to check with your teammates to make sure that you have made eye contact with everyone at least one time, okay? So the roles, after you guys have a few minutes to prepare. The roles. One role will be speaker. Another role will be the filler sound counter. What kind of filler sounds, how often? The third role will be the timer. 1 minute done, 2 minutes. And then the fourth role will be the eye contact checker, okay? So those are the 4 roles in your team. So right now I'll give you guys a couple minutes just to think a little bit. Think about this topic of food. Then after that, we're having our final assignment here, our final task where each of you will make a 1 to 2 minute speech on food, trying to practice everything that we've worked on today. Make sense? 2 minutes preparation, then we get started. We got it? Okay, good luck, everyone. All right, guys, we're going to get into the final short speeches here. So get together in your team of 3, 4, 5, 6 people. Maybe stand up. I think everybody should stand up because we should practice while standing. Decide who goes first, who goes second. And guys, remember the roles. Role number 1 is speaker. Someone in the team has to be the filler sound counter, the someone needs to record that. Another person needs to be timer. 1 minute minimum, 2 minutes maximum, okay? If you're still talking at 2 minutes, you'll have to get cut off and then go to the next one because we're running short on time. Okay, and then also the eye contact. Make sure someone is checking for that too. Everyone's good? All right, good luck with your final assignment. Go for it. Okay, hopefully that was enough time for everyone. Let's wrap things up here. So yeah, you guys can have a seat again, and I'll just need a couple more minutes here before handing things on to Dr. Some Chuchat. That takes a little practice to get that down, but I'll get it. Okay, so to put a bow, to wrap things up here, I just wanted to share a few final recommendations about public speaking. And the first one is to change your mindset about public speaking and anxiety. What I usually mean by that, in public speaking situations, we get nervous, we get fearful because we're only thinking me, all eyes on me. I feel nervous, I feel anxious, me, I. But hey guys, when you make a presentation, you should not be the focus. Your audience is what you should focus on here. So it's not about you as the speaker. It's about your audience. You have interesting, important information to share. It's your audience's responsibility to absorb this information. So take that spotlight and turn it around to your audience. It's your audience's responsibility to, again, to absorb what you're saying, right? So it's not about you. It's about your audience. Change your mindset about that. Also, do remember that these feelings of nervousness, fear, anxiety, they're very natural. It's preparing you to do something important. That adrenaline, the sweat that we might have, the racing heart, this is preparing you to do something important, to share this information, and it's perfectly natural. Rechannel that energy and turn that into excitement. Okay, fear and excitement, they're closely related. And do remember the 4-2-4 breathing. In through the nose, 4 seconds. Hold, 2 seconds. Slow exhale for 4 seconds. Okay, also, make opportunities for yourself to speak publicly. So this is what I had to change when I turned 20 years old. I put myself into a position to speak publicly. That can be as simple as asking questions in class, putting your hand up to ask questions, taking a class with a significant speaking component. Also, there's online applications where you can have conversation with people around the world in English or any other language. Hello Talk, Busu, Speaky, and so on. And guys, what we did here today, you do need to practice it. It's not a magic pill. We can't just do it once and then acquire those skills. We have to practice, 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 right? So practice those 6 skills that we worked on today. Most importantly, do not escape the public speaking situations. Now, I assume you guys are here taking this workshop, so I think you might be beyond the flight phase in your life. So hopefully you guys are ready to fight through it. Even if you're nervous, put those negative feelings aside, rechannel that nervous energy into positive excitement, okay? You guys do have important, interesting things to share with your audience. Be confident and get excited. Feel a sense of excitement in having the opportunity to do that. So guys, that's it for me. Thank you all for your attention and your participation. Good job, guys. Well done. I appreciate that. So I'll now hand things over to Dr. Semchuchat, and he'll speak to you now for 25-ish minutes. Thank you.
Talking about presentation, Andrew kindly gave us a really good workshop on the voice training. Now I'm going to focus just a little bit on the content. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So the topic is sustainable English language development. But before we go there, I'm going to guide you on how to sustain, on how to retain or maintain the level of your language, especially now English language. Even though you're a professor in the English language, even though you are English major student, as time goes by, your language proficiency can fluctuate. I'm going to give you or guide you a way to maintain or even increase the language development. But before we go there, let's continue with the, okay. All right, it's not the interface I'm hoping, but that will work. Some of us here will be competing in the KU or Kasetsart University Speak Up Challenge, speech competition. Okay, some of you tried, you didn't pass the round. That's all right. Yes, some of you passed the round and will be talking on the 24th of July somewhere in this building. So one more problem that I have seen, especially from my Thai students and a lot of speakers in foreign language, is that when we speak, we tend to keep defining the topic. For example, the KU Speak Up Challenge will ask you to talk about sustainability. Yeah, so when the topic is given, for example, sustainability, what comes to your mind? Yeah, first thing first, we would like to define things. There is nothing wrong with defining the topic. Yeah, but define it in a way that you tailor-made it into your own definition. If you keep defining sustainability means something that, you know, lasts forever, environmental wise, blah blah, and so on and so forth. If you talk about things that your listener can Google up, then the talk is not really appealing. Yeah, I was just talking to Andrew right now that we are in the AI era. So what AI can do is to define whatever term you put into, input into those AI applications. They can define things into the language, the type of language that you order or ask it to do. But what AI cannot do is to share your lived experience, because AI is not you. So when you give a talk, make it a lived experience. Somebody will have a common experience with you, and that your talk is going to touch their heart. Yeah. And people is going to remember how you make them feel from your talk. Yeah. They won't remember exact words. If I ask you, what was the last sentence that Professor Andrew said? You wouldn't remember. If you did remember, that would be amazing. Okay, we need to study your brain. But that is very natural. But how his session make you feel, you won't forget, right? So don't just define the term, but make it a lived experience, a shared experience. Yeah, you can play with statistics, you can play with feelings. There's also a suggestion saying that you can also play with humor, but humor is a little more tricky, culturally wise. All right. I also have in here Oreo. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but it's a format on how you can talk. So both O refers to opinion, yeah, R refers to reason, and E is example. Most of the time, we define the term. Okay, we try to give opinion. Yeah, sometimes we tap into reason, but what makes a talk special is your own example coming from your own experience. Yeah. For example, can you think of a topic that we will follow the Oreo? Can you think of a topic that you want to talk about? No, you cannot think. You cannot think of a topic like, okay, let's say that we are going to talk about environment. Boring already, right? The environment is just everywhere. Yeah. But if you turn it into your own definition, for me, I feel that we need to reduce the use of plastic to save our environments. The reason is clear, because right now there is islands of plastic floating around our oceans. And if you have seen a movie, Sous la Sand, beneath Paris, yeah, where a shark mutates and attacks people in the Seine River in Paris. That is partly because of the trash of the plastic that we have thrown away into our oceans. So that is, already an example. As for me, what do I do to help reduce plastic waste? I never throw away any plastic. I clean them up. Then I put them into recycle bins. Coming from Japan, I'm pretty sure that Andrew will have lots of examples of how to do effective recycling. Japan is one of the few countries that can do 100% recycle. They never waste their plastic waste. Actually, Japan import waste or import, plastic waste from other countries so that they can recycle and use them in packaging, in their bottling industry. So the last O, I call for an action. I would like you to do the same as I do. The next time you buy something, think twice if it has to be a plastic. If it has to be a plastic, before you throw it away, think of what we are talking about now. Wash the plastic. It takes time, yeah, but once you get used to it, those plastic, instead of floating into the ocean, killing all the marine life, is going to turn into something that is recyclable. So help me save our planet. Yeah, so see, O-R-E-N-O, as simple as that. No matter the talk has to, no matter how long the talk has to be. If you raise your opinion, give a reason, give a tailor-made experience, yeah, the experience that I share, or even my friend's experience, AI doesn't know it. AI doesn't live with me. AI doesn't live in your home. So those are kind of things that you need to include in your talk and make it outstanding, make it different from others' talk. Yeah. Okay. I also put here, I'm sorry about the mismatch of the words here. I'm going to show you a YouTube of the recent beauty pageant. Okay, I'm going to ask you to listen to the question, right? And I'm going to ask you to capture the keywords when you listen to a question, all right? And how you're going to answer those questions, and whether or not the two beautiful ladies I'm showing you are answering the question. All right? Are you ready? Anyone who's been on a beauty pageant before? Everyone does. All right. Let's see it. I'm gonna skip the Thai version. Oh, sorry. Now the question is now. I'm going to repeat the question again, and I'm going to ask you the keywords from the question. All right? Sorry. I'm not going to let you listen to the answer, all right? But I'm going to ask you for the keywords from the question. So what are keywords you think from the question? Women empowerment. What else? Life journey, all right? Do we have any more keywords? Personal, what? Personally. Personally, keywords, most of the time, keywords tend to be a noun phrase. So we have women empowerment, we have life journey, yeah, what else? We are missing one more keyword here. So if you, yeah, society, any keyword from the back? No? Okay, let's listen to the question one more time.
มักถูกพูดถึงในสังคม society
beyond any
personally and how it has influenced your life journey เชิญครับ
beyond any single project about women, I believe in unity and womanhood. I think women today are facing so many problems. So as Miss Universe Thailand, I would amplify on education, healthcare, leadership opportunities, and most importantly, life without violence. Like Michelle Obama said, there's no limits to what we as women can do. Thank you.
Does she answer the question? In your opinion, does she mention women empowerment? Does she define the term of women empowerment?
The concept this term means to you personally and how it has influenced your life journey. Good luck.
Well, the word woman empowerment influenced my life so much because just thinking about listen to your inner voice and believe in yourself, listen to your North Star and find that light within you. And don't forget to share that light to all other people, not only for women, not only for men, regardless of gender, because we are human. And it is time for us to spread the love, and it is time for us to lift each other up, and it is time for us to celebrate the humanity.
อุบลราชธานี this term means to you personally.
โอปอเชื่อเสมอค่ะว่าพลังของเราสามารถส่งต่อได้ด้วยเรื่องราวของเราเหมือนที่โอปอเคยผ่านการผ่าตัดก้อนเนื้อที่เต้านมและทำโครงการ โอปอ for her เพื่อที่จะสร้างความตระหนักรู้และที่สำคัญเป็นแนวทางและความหวังให้กับคนที่กำลังสู้อยู่มะเร็งเต้านมเป็นเรื่องของผู้หญิงทั่วโลกค่ะการส่งพลังให้ผู้หญิงไม่ใช่แค่ในไทยแต่ทั่วโลกคือสิ่งที่โอปอทำและจะทำต่อไปขอบคุณค่ะ
EAN D. So you can read quickly. You can read. E is what? Good. Enjoy. If I had a prize, I would have given it to you already. Enjoyably. And A is enough understanding or adequate comprehension. And the last D, you don't need a dictionary. Native speaker, I don't really, promote the term, but it's understandable. Andrew, or we have any a native speaker. When you read, do you need dictionary? Not until you read something harder than or something you are unfamiliar of, right? So if I compete in the reading with Andrew, who do you think will read faster? Andrew, yeah, that's your assumption, yeah, because he reads a lot and he probably doesn't need any dictionary when he reads. So he can read quicker than I do. Yeah. Enjoyably or not so sure. Adequate comprehension, of course. Yeah. So what happened when we read enjoyably, adequate comprehension and without needing a dictionary? This might be, the gate of the universe in developing your English language. All right. The threshold here is the 200,000 words. All right. This magic word is one level of language development. That means every time you read 200,000 words, doesn't mean totally different words. Do we have 200,000 words in English? I don't think so. Yeah. So 200,000 here mean those words that are repeating. Yeah. You're recycling the words, not all new 200,000 words. Every time you read 200,000 words, according to a study, you go up one level in terms of language development. When I was much younger, perhaps your age, yeah, I would buy Harry Potter book and I would get it on the first day that it was on the shelf and I would read it, the whole night, finish the whole book in one night. Okay. So if Harry Potter, one book of Harry Potter contained 200,000 words, after I finish one Harry Potter, one step, already I'm up there for the language development. But just for your records, one book of Harry Potter is not 200,000 words, less than that. All right, so we have two types of reading. If you see at the bottom, yeah, the pink highlighted is the one we are focusing on, the extensive reading, and we have intensive reading. All right, even though I'm promoting extensive reading, there is nothing wrong with intensive reading. All right, but I'm going to show you four differences between the two: reading speed, the daily reading, the time, yeah, and required time, and the days, yeah, the number of days that you will reach how many words? 200,000. All right. So for extensive reading, if you read 150 words per minute, that is average. Andrew would probably read almost 300 words per minute, I suppose. Yeah. Oops, sorry. Lunchtime, I need 5 more minutes. All right. So if you read 150 words per minute, how long daily? How much time in one day? Only 15 minutes every day. Okay, 15 minutes every day at the speed of 150 words per minute. It will take you All right, please do calculation. How many days is that? It will take you less than 3 months to reach 200,000 words, and that you will already feel that your language has gone up one step. All right. Whereas intensive reading, this is when you read research articles that you don't really understand. Yeah, you need to look up a lot of vocabulary from the dictionary. Yeah, or sometimes you kind of know all the words, but when they are put together, you don't know what the writer means. So you have to Google it up. Yeah, so that what? READ, read quickly, enjoyably, adequate comprehension. Don't need dictionary. It doesn't tick any of the 4 boxes. So what it does is that it will slow down your reading to about less than 20 words per minute. Okay, I have been there. I'm pretty sure most of us have been there, reading texts that are harder than our proficiency of the language. Yeah, so it takes more time. Nothing wrong with intensive reading though, but we need extensive reading as well. If you only do intensive reading, meaning only 17 words per minute for the same amount of time daily, 15 minutes a day, how long does it take you? How long does it take you to go up one level in terms of language development? It will take you more than 2 years. More than 2 years. So the choice is yours. You want to go up in the language development or not? If you keep doing only intensive reading, it takes you 2.5 years. You can say that, oh, I'm not in a rush. But I am, yeah? So 3 months or almost 3 years. Like everything else in life, reading needs 2 things. Just like, doing sport, make the first time you put makeup on your face, is it as beautiful as you do today? Perhaps not, right? And the first time you cook, maybe you burn something, yeah? So we need 2 things, skills. And just like Andrew mentioned as well, practice, okay? Why do we need practice? Because even though you use English every day in your life, even though you teach English, but if you don't keep using it at the level that you need it, what did I just say? What was the last sentence I said? You don't remember, right? Against the learning, there is a forgetting curve, As time goes by, people tend to forget. Look at axis Y here. Once we first learn something, we probably get it almost 100%, yeah? 100%. But as time goes by, meaning here maybe words, yeah, I'm focusing on the words, yeah. How many days does it take to forget everything? Just 3 days, yeah, just 3 days. But with extensive reading, extensive listening, yeah, keep using the language at the level that you can enjoy it, so you can input a lot of language, and you don't need to stop every now and then to look up the vocabulary. It will help you maintain what you have learned. You won't get 100% of whatever you have learned or you are learning. But without using it, without recycling the words, the language, it takes you 3 days. If you have good memories, maybe it takes you 7 days. But eventually, you will forget, okay? In my old days, we used to, when I was a kid, teachers always asked me to do dictation. Nothing wrong with dictation, by the way. So we memorize the word and, okay, write 10 words, yeah? And then you write all 10 words. You don't know how to use it because you have never been exposed to those words in different contexts. That's what extensive reading does, okay? You will see those words in different contexts. I'm not sure about the number of times that you need to come across one word and you will know the word and know how to use the word. I don't have the reference here, but if I'm not wrong, it's somewhere about 38 to 40 times that you need to come across that word in different forms, in different contexts, and that you will be able to use the word comfortably, truly understand the word, okay? Against the dictation where you only memorize the word, know how to write it, but don't know how to use it, okay? 2 more minutes, okay? So extensive reading could be a window of opportunity for you to develop your language. If you would like to know more, there are actually more activities, a lot more to know about extensive reading. I'm working with a very active group of teachers and lecturers from various universities across Thailand, and our mission is to promote extensive reading so that we make English a language that can be easily learned and learn with fun. All right, and we plan to have both teacher development programs as well as students program. So if you are interested, please connect to us. Actually, the Thailand Extensive Reading Association is the one that connect Professor Andrew and me. We met at a conference. I was there representing the association, and Andrew was there presenting his topic on collaborative international learning. Yeah. Okay. So we have both website and the Facebook. If you are interested to meet a lot of us, including these key speakers, we are hosting an international conference together with Chulalongkorn University Language Institute and Extensive Reading Foundation. Okay, if you log on to Kuli or Tira or EIF, you will see this poster. You can still join the conference as a participant if you are free on those 2 days, and you will see a lot more innovations on how to teach or how to learn reading. Okay, what else? Something coming up sooner at the Faculty of Education. If you like to know more on motivations, you're welcome to register and attend the talk by Professor Emeritus Neil Anderson. Okay, he's gonna give a talk on the topic of turning motivation into practices in language learning and teaching in AI era. Wow, so many keywords. I hope he covers them all. All right, it's gonna happen on Monday, August the 19th from 9 to 12 at the Faculty of Education, right? Okay, so that's it for me. Thank you so much, and I'm pretty sure that the morning session has helped you to gain your confidence, as well as what to consider when the next time you're going to deliver an effective and appealing talk. All right, I'm gonna hand the stage back to our MC.
So next is the Q&A session. Is there any question? Please raise your hand. So there's no question. Ladies and gentlemen, let's extend our heartfelt thanks to our distinguished speakers for the insightful and thought-provoking presentations. They've provided us with new knowledge and fresh perspectives on public speaking and sustainable English language development. Please give Professor Andrew Nolan and Dr. Naruron Semchushot a big round of applause. Before you leave, please take a moment to complete the evaluation form. Your feedback is crucial for us to improve our future events. And also, please follow our future activities from the International Affairs Division and the English Language Teaching Program, Department of Education, the Faculty of Education, I Kasetsart University, and Thailand Extensive Reading Association.